Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Rome wasn't just villas, togas, and chariots. In fact, ancient Rome was a big city with all the problems that come with it. If you lived in the Roman Empire, there was a good chance you were poor. It was a time when the gap between rich and poor was growing wider than ever, and this was especially true for women who had fewer rights and less opportunities than men. The life of a poor woman in ancient Rome was far from easy, but there were ways they could make money. Some would turn to sex work, which came with its own set of challenges. You'll be surprised by what these women had to endure, and the lengths they went to make a living in the ancient world. Street girls, prostitutes, and sex slaves. So much history has been written about Roman prostitutes, but how accurate is it? What kind of life did these women actually live? What were their motivations for entering the sex trade? And what kind of treatment did they receive from their clients? Here are 10 shocking facts about poor women in ancient Rome. Number 10. Working from a young age. For many poor families in ancient Rome, having a daughter meant an extra mouth to feed and an additional burden on the household's resources. Consequently, parents often encouraged their daughters to start working at a very young age to help support the family financially. Girls as young as 10 or 12 years old were expected to contribute to the household income through domestic service within other wealthy families, or as street vendors selling goods in the marketplace. This not only deprived them of a carefree childhood, but also exposed them to the harsh realities of life in a big city where exploitation and abuse were rampant. Additionally, these young girls faced the risk of being targeted by pimps and other unscrupulous individuals looking to take advantage of their vulnerability and desperation. No. 9. Sacrificing dignity for survival. Imagine yourself in ancient Rome, not as a privileged noblewoman, but as a poor girl trying to survive in the bustling streets. To put food on the table for your family, you might have turned to the only means available to you, selling your body for money. But it's not as simple as it sounds. You see, you are not alone in this desperate business. There are other women like you, and the competition is fierce. So how do you stand out and ensure that people choose you? The answer, unfortunately, is to sacrifice your dignity. You must degrade yourself in public, exposing your body, and engaging in shameless acts to attract the attention of potential customers. It's a harsh reality of life for poor women in ancient Rome who resorted to sex work to survive. They had no other choice. No. 8. Constant harassment and danger. Picture yourself walking along the crowded streets of ancient Rome, trying to make your way as a poor woman. Every step you take, you face the unwanted attention of lecherous men, who see you as nothing more than a means to satisfy their base desires. They catcall you, they grope you, and they make you feel like you are less than human. These men are relentless, and you can never escape their clutches. Even in the relative safety of your own home, you are not truly safe. For there is always the risk of your pimp or your madam forcing you into situations that you do not want to be a part of. These individuals have no regard for your feelings or your safety. All they care about is making money, and they will stop at nothing to achieve their goals. No. 7. Battling societal stigma. For many poor women in ancient Rome, the decision to enter the sex trade was not an easy one. They were well aware of the social stigma attached to sex work and the negative perception of society towards women who chose this profession. Despite the risks and the shame, these women were often left with no other choice, as they struggled to survive in a patriarchal society that limited their opportunities and subjected them to harsh economic conditions. Many of these women were also victims of circumstance, such as those who had been sold into slavery, or those who had been abandoned by their families and were left to fend for themselves on the streets. Despite the challenges and the discrimination they faced, these women were resilient and resourceful. They developed strong bonds of camaraderie and mutual support, creating their own networks of female friends and relatives who helped them navigate the dangers of the sex trade and provided them with a sense of community and belonging. 6. Fighting for their space. In the bustling and competitive world of ancient Rome's sex trade, the struggle for survival was real. Women had to fight tooth and nail to carve out their own space and ensure their voices were heard. The competition was fierce, and the stakes were high, as each woman sought to attract the most clients and earn the highest profits. To stand out from the crowd, they had to resort to extreme measures, including degrading themselves, exposing their bodies, and enduring public humiliation. The struggle for dominance in this cutthroat industry not only pushed these women to their physical and emotional limits, but also forced them to confront the harsh realities of their time. No. 5. Managing difficult clients. When you're a sex worker in ancient Rome, you never quite know what to expect from your clients. One minute everything could be going smoothly, and the next you could find yourself in a nightmare scenario. From dealing with drunken soldiers to avoiding the unwanted advances of the elite, you never truly know what to expect. The danger is real, and the risks are high, but the show must go on. As a poor woman in ancient Rome, you have little control over the type of clients you encounter, and some of them can be truly terrifying. Bandits and brigands, men who prey on the weak and vulnerable, are just some of the dangerous individuals you may find yourself face to face with. These men are not only looking for sexual gratification, but also see you as an easy target to exploit and abuse. Dealing with such clients requires quick thinking and a great deal of courage, as you must constantly be on guard for your own safety and well-being. No, for facing the wrath of angry husbands, in ancient Rome, a woman's place was firmly within the confines of the household, subservient to her male counterparts. While some women enjoyed the privileges of their social standing, for many poor women, life was far from ideal. Husbands held the power in their relationships and were known to beat their wives for a variety of reasons. For poor women, the consequences of their husband's anger could be even more severe. Beatings were common, and the physical and emotional scars they left behind were a constant reminder of their subjugation. These women were trapped in a cycle of violence and oppression, and their only means of escape was often unattainable due to the societal norms and restrictions placed upon them. No. 3. Struggling with infertility. For many women in ancient Rome, the inability to bear children was seen as a failure and a source of shame. This pressure to reproduce led to a preoccupation with infertility and a willingness to seek out unconventional solutions. One such solution was the adoption of a surrogate womb, where a woman would carry a child to term on behalf of another. However, this practice was not without its risks. Many of these women were poor and desperate for a way out of their difficult circumstances. They were often coerced into the surrogate womb program and subjected to harsh treatments and dangerous conditions. No. 2. Enduring cruel punishments. In ancient Rome, adultery was seen as a serious offense, and women were often punished severely for engaging in sexual activity outside of marriage. The punishments ranged from fines to imprisonment, and in some cases, the adulterous woman was put to death. These punishments were not only harsh and cruel, but also served as a warning to other women who might be tempted to stray from the bounds of acceptable behavior. Men, on the other hand, were generally treated more leniently and were rarely punished for the same offense. This double standard was deeply ingrained in Roman society and was used to control and regulate the behavior of women. Number 1. Fighting against slavery. Life as a poor woman in ancient Rome was not easy. The constant threat of slavery loomed over their heads, as the wealthy and powerful could easily enslave them for any perceived slight or offense. This fear of enslavement was a driving force in their lives, as they had to be extremely careful with their actions and words to avoid becoming a slave. Despite the danger, many poor women in ancient Rome actively resisted slavery and fought for their freedom. They organized secret societies, planned daring escapes, and rebelled against their These women showed incredible courage and determination in their struggle for freedom, and their efforts paved the way for future generations of women to fight for equality and justice. Thank you for watching. Which facts surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments section below. Please like and share if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video. Bye.